I can say something to you that could be really offensive to you, but it's still going to be funny, you know. And if it's funny, it's all right. For me, that's it really justifies almost anything. Almost anything. Like you can do. I mean, you can do some kiddie porn, and if it's funny, you know, it's still going to be funny.
The fact that arguably happens.
Probably.
I mean, it really. I mean, it's all about framework.
There could be some real comedic situations.
Oh yeah.
I imagine.
Well, and what we're describing really is
just the height difference and all that.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Yeah, I do actually. I have a Chunky A Arsenio Hall album in the car.
Oh, really?
And he's playing. Chunky A is this kind of. He's like the alter ego of Arsenio Hall, who's a badass. You know, and he gets all the ladies. And he's like, "What's up?" You know, he's a real cool guy. Is the idea, and Arsenio Hall is kind of a dweeb. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, he mentions that, and he's like, "Man, I love ladies. You know, I had a good time with a midget once, and you know, because he's real tall and skinny and." You're right. It's.
You say midget? Is that all right?
See, that's the thing. It's now the era. We're not even sure. It's cracking. How's it going, bro? What's up?
Dude, that's
hello, girls. Beautiful. Yeah, seriously. All right, man. You too. Peace. That is a nice story. But yeah, which you and I have funny people, and I agree with you when you straight up mentioned that it's a form of shield. It was actually absolutely a. Humor's a coping mechanism for many people. In times of great distress, you have the funniest stuff.
Yeah.
And in terms of your selfhood,
absolutely,
because humor is a big part of you. It's a core. It's not just and I'm funny in my off time.
Yeah.
You're a funny dude. You make people laugh.
That's right.
And I used to be. I want to be. I think at my core I'm still this way, but because I'm no longer spring loading myself to pounce on a joke.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing other things with my brain. I'm trying to, and I'm also trying to be less mean as a person. He and I, you know, we were 15 together. So you're looking at pretty much the most asinine ages of probably either of us. Certainly, I was the biggest dick back at 15 that I've ever been. And it's a shame because I was with some of the coolest people on the planet. You know, I was just very, but I showed love differently.
Yeah, it's like that because we went to school. I don't know how much I told him, but. We went to school it's a protective environment because we were a minority. We were foreigners.
That's true. That's right.
We were.
Even though we were white, we were a minority.
Yeah, and it's really like there's a lot of sheltering. There's a lot of that we were expats. And there's a lot of sheltering. There's the expat community. You just hang out with those people. You don't really mix with the natives and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And as a protection of that, because when we turn up there, I mean, like you say, 14, 15 years old, you go to another country, and you don't really know what's going to happen, and you get a little scared. And for me, the way I deal with that is just I put on the funny jacket, you know?
Yeah.
It's like I put on that shield, I put on the armor, and just, you know, anything that can happen, I can always make it funny.
Yeah.
And that's going to protect me.
And it'll kind of diffuse the situation.
Yeah. I don't have to worry about people on the subway going crazy because you know I can just make a joke out of it.
Right.
And it protects you inside. It protects your feelings. It protects it shelters you from the fear that you have. Right. I think that's a very big part of it. I think it was a very big part of it back there. Absolutely, because we were kids. We were in a different country where we didn't belong. We didn't, you know.
We didn't even speak the language.
Yeah.
In all fairness.
And it was a pretty rough country too. I don't know how much you told me. Where
it was the Wild West of Moscow. I've mentioned it before.
Right. It was Russia. And Russia's just badass.
Russia, Boris Yeltsin, after the wall fall, but really after before all this.
All of that. They had the market economy was getting off, and capitalism was starting up in Moscow and Russia, and really wild time. Really weird stuff was happening, and people it's very change. I mean, there's big changes especially for the Russians, obviously.
Yeah.
There was a lot of insecurity. There was a lot of people didn't know. That's the
fireworks. Happy 4th of July. Yeah. Which you won't see this till December.
Hope you had a good one. All right. Those are the Christmas fireworks.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah. Yay!
You can tell by the wintry foliage.
Sorry, go ahead.
All right. Forgot what I was saying, but all right. But it was
weird
really,
times.
It was really weird times for everybody, not just for us, but for everybody in that place. Nobody knew what was going on. Nobody knew who to trust. Nobody really knew who the authority figures were, and Where do I go? Like back, especially with which is a big system change. I mean, it's a big change for people.
Yeah. A regime shift. It was
exactly.
a whole regime.
That's what it was. And
paradigm.
It's a paradigm. Yeah, it's a shift of paradigms, and I mean that's obviously a hard thing to deal with. That's a difficult thing to cope with, and so there's a lot of like tension, everywhere. And foreigners were coming over, and like as you can tell, we speak. I mean, you're an American. I have an American accent, and you know that sticks out. That people see that. And when we were on the subway, and people would be like, "You guys are American, guys," you know?
Yeah, he goes.
That's what it was. You know, we hate you. And I got away with it because I'm from Sweden, and that's all you had to say. No, I'm Swedish. Yeah, Swedish kid. Whatever the fuck it is, I forgot all the Russian. But that's all you had to say, and you did the Canadian thing.
Well, actually, I told you. I actually, because I was so fair skinned, I actually, when I first got to Moscow, I was telling you, I actually, when I got in the situation, told him I was Swedish.
All right.
I told him I was Swedish. It didn't work, so I went with Canadian or Swedish, and then I boiled it down to Canadian.
Yeah, because Canadian, I mean, you can't tell. I mean, there's Canada is...
And they're decent people in Canada.
Yeah.
And in the States, we're mostly decent.
Yeah.
But not always.
Canada's cool, man. It's boring.
Cool. That's the thing. We're spicier.
Yeah, exactly.
But we lie more.
There's no guns in Canada. That's why we kill them. That's why I came here for the guns. The guns and...
Thank you, Texas.
Yeah, going over to Texas later and shoot somebody. Just because you can, you know, it's a national sport.
Yeah. Skeet, what? Yeah. Also, you develop, of course, there's the coping mechanism that you mentioned when you're in a foreign context. It's a sense of security, it's a blanket.
Right.
You feel comfortable with what you can turn into fun.
Right.
So what that also does is it doesn't just project things onto the outside world, but it reflects you on the inside. So you, and I'm asking you, do you find yourself really, does the idea of being a funny guy really resonate with you personally?
Yeah.
If someone says, hey, who's the funny guy in the room, do you have a tendency to maybe raise your hand a little bit?
I wouldn't do that.
Not out of arrogance. What I mean is, it's a silent question. It's not one where people see your hand. Do you consider yourself a funny guy? And have you absorbed that persona?
I have, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to say. I have real problems with because I'm I got the middle class guilt, so I have problems with with saying I'm something, you know, like taking pride in something. I try to be very humble, too humble. Humility gets me. But it's so I have a difficult time. Like if I had to present myself to somebody, if I had to tell someone who I was, I'd just tell them, I'm just a normal guy, and I wouldn't go like I'm a real funny person.
Okay,
I couldn't do that because I feel humor is subjective, as is everything, and if you think I'm funny, you're going to realize that. I shouldn't have to, and I won't say it. It's like I won't tell people I'm smart. I don't know if I am smart, but I wouldn't tell people if I was smart. Like if I was good at sports, obviously I am. I wouldn't tell people, because I got a real problem with milk.
Right, I like that. Obviously I am, but
yeah.
Well, and you'll find that actually. I mean, things like that. My question was not one of really the arrogance of your absorption.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but
do you,
for myself?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you for instance? I mean, are there times in your life where, as the funny guy to others, you within find yourself being not as funny, and you're almost disappointed in yourself? Because that's where I'm kind of coming from. Recently, I felt that way.
Yeah, sometimes, absolutely.
I absorbed throughout high school, junior high, all this stuff. I was
Well, just now, if you look at it just now, just when I got here yesterday. So far, I don't think I've been that funny.
Really?
Well, yeah, it's a little because I'm still just getting used to the surroundings, and obviously a lot about humor is a lot about a common language. Yeah. Humor is a lot about since it's so much presentation. There's you need to know the person saying it. You need to understand the mannerisms, and you need to have a common language to be funny. Like you can't just. Obviously, there are people who can just tell a joke, but they tell it to people who are looking for that joke. That's what it does. You can go see a stand-up comedian, you never met him before, you don't know him, or you never heard her jokes, and she can be real funny anyway. But that's because you do have a common language, because it's humor.
And you're also in a stand-up club where you're more primed, you're spring-loaded to laugh.
Exactly.
The way you're spring-loaded to tell a joke.
People expect it.